My mother-in-law offered to watch my baby while I showered. Then I found my birth control wrapped in tissue. When I confronted her, she said, "You'll thank me someday." 3 days later, the test was positive, and I called my husband. I still remember the trash can lid snapping shut after I pulled my hand away. It was such a normal sound. Too normal for what I had just found. My daughter, Lily, had finally fallen asleep after fighting her nap for almost an hour. She was 8 months old, stubborn, sweet, and already the center of my whole world. I loved her more than anything, but motherhood had not been gentle with me. Pregnancy had been hard. After Lily was born, the anxiety got worse. I checked if she was breathing too often. I panicked when she cried too long. I felt like my body belonged to everyone except me. My husband, Ryan, saw all of it. He was there when I cried in the laundry room because I could not find one clean burp cloth. He was there when I told my doctor I felt like my mind was running faster than my body could handle. He was there when I said I could not go through another pregnancy anytime soon. We agreed. One baby for now. Maybe another later. Maybe not. But not now. One night, while Lily slept beside our bed, I told him I need time. Maybe years. Ryan took my hand and said, "Then we wait. One baby is enough if that's what we decide." I believed him. The problem was, his mother, Barbara, did not believe that decision belonged to us. At first, her comments sounded like normal grandparent excitement. "She needs a sibling. You'll forget the hard parts. It's easier when they're close in age." I laughed the first few times because that is what you do when relatives say uncomfortable things and everyone expects you to be polite. Then Barbara started bringing gifts. A yellow onesie. A tiny gray blanket. A stuffed bear with the tag still on it. For the next one, she said, placing it on my kitchen counter like she was delivering something I had ordered. I told her, "We're not planning another baby right now." She smiled. "Nobody plans perfectly, honey. Sometimes life gives you what you need." I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to say something stronger than a joke. He was rinsing a bottle at the sink. He glanced over and said, "Mom, leave her alone." Barbara laughed like he had teased her. Later that night, I told him it bothered me. "She doesn't mean anything by it," he said. That became his favorite defense. "She's just excited. You know how she is. She means well." I didn't know how she was. That was why I wanted him to stop acting like I was imagining things. Barbara never yelled. She never had to. She controlled people with concern. She could make an insult sound like advice and make a boundary sound like cruelty. When Lily was around 5 months old, Barbara watched me take my birth control pill while I was putting away dishes. She leaned against the counter and said, "Are you still taking those?" I looked at the pack in my hand. "Yes." She frowned. "I only ask because you've been so anxious. Sometimes those things mess with women. My doctor said it's fine." Doctors say a lot of things. I closed the drawer harder than I meant to. "It's between me and my doctor." Barbara smiled, but her eyes changed. "Of course," she said. "I just worry about you." That night, I told Ryan. Again. He rubbed his face like I had handed him one more problem after a long day. "I'll talk to her." "Actually talk to her," I said. Not hint. Not joke. Tell her my medication is not her business. He nodded. "I will." For a few weeks, things got quieter. Barbara still came over every Wednesday, but she stopped mentioning babies directly. She brought banana bread, folded laundry, held Lily while I showered, and made herself useful in a way that made it harder to complain. That was the confusing part. She helped. When you are exhausted, help can feel like kindness even when it comes with strings. She washed bottles, changed diapers, rocked Lily when my arms were sore. Sometimes she cleaned the bathroom without asking, which annoyed me, but I told myself I was being ungrateful. The first time my pills looked wrong, I blamed myself. I kept them in the top drawer of the main bathroom, next to hair ties and face cream. Every night after Lily went down, I took one. Same routine. Same time. I was careful because the thought of getting pregnant again so soon made my chest tighten. One night, I opened the drawer and paused. The pills looked out of order. Not destroyed. Not obviously tampered with. Just wrong enough that I stood there counting days with my finger, trying to remember if I had missed one. Lily had been teething. I had barely slept. It was possible I made a mistake. So I let it go. A week later, it happened again. This time, I mentioned it to Ryan. "I think my pack is messed up," I said. He looked up from his phone. "Messed up how?" "Like pills are pushed out that I don't remember taking." He gave me this careful look. Not accusing exactly, but close. "You've been tired." I stared at him. "So you think I'm forgetting?" I'm saying it's possible. That hurt more than I expected. Because maybe it was possible. That was what made it so easy for everyone to dismiss me. I had been anxious. I had been exhausted. I had cried over dumb things. So when something felt wrong, there was always an easy explanation. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I needed sleep. I said nothing else that night. Then came the Wednesday that changed everything. Barbara arrived around 10 in the morning with banana bread wrapped in foil. She kissed Lily on the forehead and said, "There's my sweet girl. Still waiting for your little best friend, aren't you?" I gave her a look. She smiled. "I mean a cousin. Or a friend. Don't be so serious." Ryan was at work. I was too tired to argue. Barbara told me to take a shower and rest for a bit. I almost said no, but Lily had been up twice the night before, and my shirt smelled like spit up. So I handed her the baby monitor and went upstairs. When I came back down, Barbara was folding laundry on the couch. Lily was on her play mat, chewing on a rubber giraffe. Everything looked normal. Barbara left after lunch. At the door, she hugged me and said, "You know I only want what's best for this family." I remember that because it sounded strange. Not what was best for me. Not what was best for Lily. For this family. 20 minutes later, I went into the guest bathroom looking for hand soap. That was when I saw the tissue in the trash. It was wrapped too neatly to be random. I picked it up before I could talk myself out of it. Inside was my birth control. My current pack. The one that was supposed to be in my bathroom drawer. My heart started beating so hard I heard it in my ears. I ran to the main bathroom and pulled open the drawer. There was a pack there, but it was unopened. Same brand. Same pharmacy label. But not the one I had been using. I stood there trying to make the facts line up. My used pack was in the guest bathroom trash. A new pack was in my drawer. Barbara had cleaned both bathrooms that morning. And my period was late. I had been trying not to think about that last part. Stress did weird things to my cycle. Postpartum hormones were strange. There were normal explanations. Suddenly, none of them felt normal. I called Ryan. He answered on the third ring. "Hey, everything okay?" I could barely speak. "Your mom was in my medication." There was a pause. "What?" I found my birth control in the guest bathroom trash. Wrapped in tissue. Another pause. Longer this time. "Are you sure it's yours?" That question made something in me snap. "No, Ryan. Maybe a random woman walked into our house and threw her birth control away in our guest bathroom." "Hannah, I'm not trying to upset you. You are upsetting me because you're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Making me prove reality before you react." He went quiet. I asked him to come home early. He said he had a meeting he could not miss, but would leave right after. I hung up before I said something I could not take back. Then I called Barbara. She answered sweetly. "Hi, sweetheart." I didn't do small talk. Why was my birth control in the guest bathroom trash? Silence. Then a little laugh. "Oh, I thought that pack was old." It was not old. It was in the drawer with other things. I was just tidying. "You threw away my current birth control and put a new pack in my drawer?" "I replaced it, didn't I?" The way she said it made my skin crawl. Like I was being difficult over a kitchen sponge. "You had no right to touch it." Her voice cooled. "I was helping." "No. You were in my private medication." "Hannah, those pills have been making you unstable." I went still. "What did you just say?" She sighed like I was exhausting her. "You've been emotional for months. Everyone sees it. I only thought maybe if you stopped putting chemicals into your body, you'd feel better." My hand tightened around the phone. "You threw away my birth control because you decided it was bad for me?" "I threw away one pack." "One?" She didn't answer fast enough. My mouth went dry. "Barbara, how many times have you touched my pills?" "I am not going to be interrogated like a criminal." "Then stop acting like one." She gasped, but I kept going. "You don't get to decide whether I have another baby." Her voice turned softer. More wounded. "I would never hurt you. I love you. I love Lily. I just know you and Ryan will regret waiting too long." "This is not about regret. This is about consent. You're making this ugly." "No. You made it ugly when you went into my bathroom." Then she said the sentence I will never forget. "Someday, when that little baby is here, you'll thank me." I hung up. For a few seconds, the house was quiet except for the baby monitor humming on the counter. Lily stirred upstairs, making those tiny sleepy sounds she made before waking up, and I stood there with my phone in my hand, feeling like the walls had moved closer. Ryan got home a little after 5. He looked pale when he walked in. I was sitting at the kitchen table with the used pill pack, the unopened pack, and a note I had written with dates I could remember. I needed the paper to remind me I was not losing my mind. He looked at the table, then at me. Did you talk to her? Yes. What did she say? I pushed the used pack toward him. She admitted she threw it away. His jaw tightened. She said that. She said she replaced it like that makes it fine. Ryan sat down slowly. I asked, did you know she had been saying my birth control was making me unstable? He rubbed both hands over his face. That was answer enough. Ryan. She mentioned it. When? A few times. A few times? He looked miserable. She said she was worried about you. I told her we weren't having another baby right now. You told her we weren't ready? Yes. Did you tell her to stay out of my medication? He hesitated. I laughed once, but there was nothing funny in it. You didn't. I thought that was obvious. It was obvious to everyone except the woman touching my pills. He looked down. That hurt more than Barbara's denial. His mother had crossed the line, but Ryan had watched her walk toward it and kept telling me she was just excited. I asked him, do you understand what this means if I'm pregnant? His face changed. He had not let himself think that far. I'll get a test, he said. I shook my head. No. I'll do it tomorrow. Why tomorrow? Because I can't look at another piece of plastic today. He tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled away. Not because I hated him. I didn't. That was the worst part. I loved him. I loved the life we had built. But love felt useless right then, like a blanket in a burning room. That night, I slept in Lily's nursery. I sat in the rocking chair with Lily against my chest, listening to her breathe. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Barbara saying she was helping. The next morning, I took the test in the main bathroom. I left it on the counter and washed my hands twice while waiting. When I looked down, there were 2 lines. Clear. Not faint. Not maybe. Positive. I sat on the bathroom floor with my back against the cabinet and stared at it until the timer on my phone started beeping. Lily was babbling in her crib down the hall. Ryan knocked softly. Hannah? I could not answer. The door opened a few inches. He saw my face first. Then the test in my hand. He sank down in front of me. Oh my God. I wanted him to say something that made it better. I wanted him to become the version of himself I had needed before all this happened. Instead, he started crying. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I looked at him and said, sorry does not change what happened. I know. No. I don't think you do. He wiped his face with the heel of his hand. I held up the test. This was not an accident. He whispered, I know. That was the first time he said it. Not maybe. Not we don't know. Not she means well. I know. And hearing him finally admit it did not make me feel safer. It made me angrier. Because the truth had been there the whole time. He waited until it became impossible to deny. The clinic confirmed it 2 days later. I went alone because I needed one place where nobody was trying to manage my reaction. The nurse, Jennifer, was kind. She did not ask too many questions when I started crying before she even took my blood pressure. She handed me tissues and said, you're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling. That sentence almost broke me. Because at home, everyone had already started deciding what I was allowed to feel. Ryan was sorry but scared. Barbara was crying, but defensive. His sister, Ashley, texted that their mother had made a mistake and I was being cruel by turning a family issue into a war. His father, George, left a voicemail saying, your mother-in-law loves you girls. Don't let anger destroy this family. This family. Everyone kept saying family like it was a magic word that erased what happened. After the clinic, I drove to Megan's apartment. She was my closest friend, the kind of person who did not try to make pain sound smaller. When she opened the door and saw my face, she stepped aside without asking questions. I sat on her couch and told her everything. Not neatly. I cried through half of it. I told her about the comments, the gifts, the pill packs, the trash, Barbara's phone call, the positive test. Megan listened with her hand over her mouth. When I finished, she said, Hannah, this is not a meddling mother-in-law problem. This is a safety problem. That word hit hard. Safety. I had been thinking about betrayal, anger, boundaries, marriage. But safety made the situation real in a way I had been avoiding. I went home that evening with my mind clearer than it had been in days. Ryan was in the kitchen feeding Lily mashed banana. He looked exhausted. There were dark circles under his eyes. Part of me felt bad for him, then I hated myself for feeling bad. He looked up. How was the appointment? Confirmed. His face fell. I sat across from him. Lily slapped her spoon against the tray and laughed, completely unaware that the adults in the room were falling apart. I said, your mother is not allowed in this house anymore. Ryan closed his eyes. Okay. She is not allowed around Lily unsupervised. Okay. She gets no updates from me. He opened his eyes then. About the pregnancy? I don't know what I'm doing yet, I said. And your family is not part of that conversation. He nodded slowly. Then I added, if you tell her anything without my permission, I will leave. That landed harder than anything else I had said. Ryan whispered, you'd leave me. I don't know, I said honestly. But I cannot stay in a house where my body is treated like a family decision. He looked down at Lily, who was smearing banana across her cheek. I won't tell her, he said. I wanted to believe him. That night, Ryan called Barbara while I sat beside him. I told him if he wanted me to believe he was serious, I needed to hear him say it. He put the call on speaker. Barbara answered in a shaky voice. Ryan? His own voice cracked, but he stayed firm. Mom, you are not coming over anymore. She started crying immediately. I knew she would do this. Ryan said, do not blame Hannah. I was worried about her. I made one mistake. You touched her medication. I replaced it. You threw away her birth control. I thought it was old. Stop lying. The room went quiet. Barbara's voice turned sharp. You don't speak to me that way. You crossed a line, he said. You don't get to come here. You don't get to see Lily without us present. You don't get information unless Hannah chooses to share it. She's my granddaughter. And Hannah is my wife. For the first time in days, I breathed normally. Barbara sobbed. She's turning you against me. Ryan looked at me, then looked away. No, he said. You did that. The call ended with Barbara crying and calling him ungrateful. I expected to feel satisfied, but I only felt hollow. Because this was what I had needed months earlier. Before the test. Before the trash. Before I started wondering if every Wednesday visit had been another small violation I failed to see. The family backlash came fast. Ashley sent me a long message saying motherhood had made me cold. She said Barbara was old-fashioned, but loving. She said keeping Lily away was punishment and that one day I would regret making Ryan choose sides. I wrote back one sentence. Your mother touched my medication because she wanted me pregnant. Then I blocked her. George tried calling Ryan at work. When Ryan stopped answering, George came to the house. I watched him through the peephole standing on our porch with his hands in his jacket pockets. Ryan opened the door but did not let him inside. I stayed in the hallway, holding Lily on my hip. George saw me inside. Hannah, can we just talk like adults? I almost laughed. Adults don't throw away someone's birth control. He winced. Barbara knows she shouldn't have touched it. Does she know why? She loves being a grandmother. That is not an answer. George looked at Ryan. Son, your mother has not slept in 2 nights. Ryan said, Hannah hasn't either. George's mouth tightened. Then he said, there is a baby involved now. At some point, everyone has to think about what's best for the child. I stepped forward. There was already a child involved. Lily. And your wife decided Lily needed a sibling more than Lily needed a healthy mother. George looked away. He had no answer for that. After he left, Ryan locked the door and leaned against it. I'm sorry, he said. I was tired of sorry. Sorry had started to feel like a receipt for something I could not return. A week later, Barbara left the gift bag on the porch. It was pale yellow with white tissue paper, the kind people use for baby showers. For one stupid second, I thought maybe it was an apology letter. Maybe she had finally written something honest. Maybe she had put words on paper that said, I violated you. I was wrong. I will stay away until you are ready. Inside was a tiny onesie. Promoted to big sister. I stared at it for a long time. Then I carried the whole bag outside and threw it in the trash bin. Ryan saw me from the doorway. He did not stop me. That became the first small moment where I believed he might understand. Not because he said the perfect thing. He did not say anything. He just let the gift become garbage. We started counseling the next week. I did not go because I was sure I wanted to save the marriage. I went because I needed Ryan to understand that his mother was not the only problem. His silence had been part of the damage. The first session was awkward and painful. Amanda, the counselor, asked Ryan what he thought had happened. He said, my mom interfered with Hannah's birth control. Amanda asked, and before that? Ryan stared at the floor. She made comments. And what did you do? I minimized them. Why? He was quiet for a while. Then he said, because it was easier to ask Hannah to tolerate my mother than to ask my mother to respect Hannah. I looked at him then. That was the first honest thing he had said that did not feel like it was dragged out of him. Over the next month, Ryan changed the locks. He bought a small lockbox for medication without making it weird. He told Ashley he would not discuss me with her. He told George that access to Lily depended on respecting boundaries. Barbara sent letters. At first, they were full of excuses. I was only worried. I thought you were not yourself. I would never hurt my family. Then they became emotional. I cry every night. You have taken my son. I hope one day you understand a mother's love. I stopped reading them. Ryan read them instead, then put them in a folder because Megan told me to document everything. One letter finally came with the words, I am sorry, but even that one had a hook hidden inside it. I am sorry if my love made me overstep. If. That word told me everything. People kept asking what I decided about the pregnancy. I am not turning that part into a debate. I talked to my doctor. I talked to my counselor. I talked to Ryan when I was ready. I made the choice I could live with, not the choice his family tried to force onto me. For months, Barbara got nothing from me. No appointment dates. No updates. No cute stories. No private messages. She heard only what Ryan asked permission to share, which was almost nothing. It drove her insane. Ashley eventually showed up at Megan's apartment while I was there. Megan answered the door before I could, and Ashley tried to push past her. Megan blocked the doorway. Ashley called me selfish from the hall. I walked over slowly, not because I wanted to fight, but because I was done hiding from people who thought being loud made them right. Ashley said, "You're really going to keep punishing Mom forever?" I said, "Your mother punished herself when she touched my medication. She made a mistake. A mistake is using salt instead of sugar. This was a choice." Ashley's face went red. "You act like she attacked you." I looked at her and said, "She made a decision about my body because she wanted a baby. Call it whatever helps you sleep." Ashley had no clever answer. She shook her head and walked away. It did not feel good. It felt necessary. The real turning point came later, when Ryan came home and told me Barbara had shown up at his job. She waited near his car. She cried. She asked why he was letting me control him. She said I had always been fragile and now I was using the situation to isolate him. Ryan told me all of this while standing in the kitchen, still holding his keys. I asked, "What did you say?" He swallowed. I told her if she ever shows up at my job again, I'll treat it like harassment. I told her I love her, but I will not sacrifice my wife to make her comfortable. I did not hug him right away. One correct sentence did not erase months of failure. But something in me softened a little. Not forgiveness. Maybe the possibility of it. Time passed strangely after that. Some days I felt fine. Other days, I opened the bathroom drawer and felt that old cold rush again. I hated that one object could turn a normal room into a memory. Lily kept growing through all of it. She learned to clap. She learned to say "Mama" in this loud, proud way that made me cry the first time. She started pulling herself up on furniture and laughing when she fell back onto her diaper. Life kept moving, even when I wanted it to pause long enough for me to catch my breath. Ryan and I are still together right now. I know some people will judge me for that. Some will say I should have left the second he minimized his mother. Some will say I'm too harsh for cutting Barbara off. Some will say Lily deserves every grandparent possible. I used to care more about what everyone would say. Now I care about what I can live with. Barbara has not been inside my house since that day. She has not held Lily. She has not received one private update from me. If Ryan wants to meet his parents, he goes alone or takes Lily only if I agree, and even then, he stays the entire time. No unsupervised visits. No exceptions. The family calls that cruel. I call it remembering. A few weeks ago, Ryan found another gift bag on the porch. This one had no card. Just a small blanket and a note in Barbara's handwriting. Every baby is a blessing. Ryan did not bring it inside. He walked it straight to the outside bin. Then he came back into the kitchen and said, "I'm sorry I didn't protect you sooner." For the first time, I believed he understood that sorry was not a magic word. It was a debt he had to keep paying with choices. I still don't know exactly what our marriage will look like years from now. Some trust comes back slowly. Some does not come back at all. But I know what kind of house I want my daughter to grow up in. One where love does not mean access. One where family does not mean permission. One where a woman's fear is not dismissed because someone else finds it inconvenient. And if one day Lily asks why her grandmother is not around the way other grandmothers are, I will tell her the truth gently. I will tell her that some people love with open hands, and some people love by trying to close their fists around your life. Her grandmother made a choice. So did I. I chose the locked door. I chose the quiet house. I chose peace that did not require me to pretend violation was love. So now I'm asking because even after everything, people still act like I went too far. Am I wrong for cutting my mother-in-law out and refusing to let her be involved, even after everyone says this should still be her grandchild too?